So tell us about your particular area of interest and how you see the trading opportunities there in the context of everything you talked about.
So I think the space that we think will be interesting, which is, unique, is that India has always been a services-led economy. We think this is a breakout of manufacturing. This particular decade will be one where you will see companies in capital goods, companies in infrastructure, companies in industrials, all beneficiaries of now rates coming off and a big capex boom really picking up. You'll also see Indian banking. I mean, this is an interesting time to talk banks when everything is happening across the world. I think Indian banks are in some of the best of shape, and they combine really valuations and growth play. So I think those are the two areas of interest in our portfolio today.
Speaking of banks, we have an interview lined up with KK Mistry of HDFC as the merger comes through. I don't want to particularly talk about, I don't know whether you can talk about individual stocks. I don't want to particularly focus on the combine, but really what it means about this behemoth and how it dominates the private banking space and what that means for consolidation in the sector, because it's really HDFC in the private sector banking space and SBI among the PSUs, among public sector undertakings.
So I can't talk about single stocks, but I would say historically, private banks have sort of been at the forefront. There's a particular group you've mentioned, but I think it's diversifying. So if you look at the banking pack, it's HDFC, but you've also seen other leading private sector banks, whether it's ICICI, whether it's Axis, sort of breakout. And I think today, for the first time, many asset managers will tell you they're actually bullish on public sector banks, which is not a position we have often, and it's not just the largest public sector bank, as you named. There has been quite a bit of structural reform, consolidation that has happened in public sector banks. And where we are in the lending cycle, we actually think public sector banks will do well. And that thesis is played out.
Does that have to do with the government's thrust on infrastructure and spending on infrastructure and lending in infrastructure?
Partly,
private
yes.
impulse as well?
Partly, yes, because at this stage of the lending cycle, at this stage of the economic cycle, lenders do well, and we do think PSU lenders do well. Some of the structural issues, by the way, still remain as far as
on the execution side.
On the execution side, some of the structural issues remain. But if there was a time to be more bullish on public sector banks, this is probably now.